Basically, the story is, at the beginning they're all runny, rushy, a big castle.
The story is
the beginning they're all runny, rushy, big castle. There's a thing in there, Loki scepter's in there, and they get it out, and then all stuff's happening, and then Ultron, it's bad and dead. But then Robert Downey Jr., we got this thing, we got the staff, and he says to Bruce Banner, we could actually get this going. He says, no, we shouldn't do that. He says, yes, we must do it, because the next thing, like, boom, suddenly Ultron out in the world. Thor not pleased. Got that? Is a clip.
This could have been avoided if you hadn't played with something you don't understand.
I'm sorry. It is funny. It's a hoot that you don't get why we need this.
Tony, maybe this might not be the time.
Really? That's it. You just roll over, show your belly every time somebody snarls.
Only when I've created a murder bot.
We didn't. We weren't even close. Were we close to an interface?
Well, you did something right. And you did it right here. The Avengers were supposed to be different than S.H.I.E.L.D.
Anybody remember when I carried a nuke through a wormhole?
No, it's never come up.
Save New York?
Never heard that.
Recall that? A hostile alien army came charging through a hole in space. We're standing 300 feet below it. We're the Avengers. We can bust arms dealers all the livelong day, but that up there, that's the end game. How are you guys planning on beating that?
Together.
I love Robert Downey Jr.
And so it is the role he was born to play. Yeah. He does that, better than anybody else. So, okay. So in the case of it, there's a moment in Avengers when Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye says, the city's flying, we're fighting an army of robots, I've got a bow and arrow. It doesn't make any sense. And you think, I know exactly where you are. There was an interview with Joss Whedon a while ago in which he was saying he had to make the movie in the assumption that people hadn't seen the previous movies. And he had to make it make sense if you haven't. The fact is, you do have to have seen the previous movies. And even if you have, you do spend some time going, hang on, he's there, and the Loki's thing, where's Loki? And so you are running to catch up. And one of the things that a number of people have said is, I didn't care, I just went with it anyway. But there is a jumble to the storytelling, and that's partly to do with just the sheer number of characters, because along with the familiar Avengers who were assembled and then reassembled, obviously we now have the twins, we have Wanda and Maximoff, so we have Quicksilver and we have Scarlet Witch, we have the emergent Ultron, voiced by James Spader, who seems like such a good idea when Robert Downey Jr. plugs him in. The next thing you know, he's the Terminator, and then of course we have Vision, who the Vision. That's one of those kind of weird character things about whether you do the Batman or this. Anyway, fine. So you have a number of different characters.
Was that Paul Bettany? That's
Paul Bettany, funny putting flesh on the Jarvis role. Is that how lovely to see Paul Bettany doing that? Although as you and I said, Mighty Morphing Power Ranger. But so you have all these different people that you have to be dealing with, and as a result of that, what it means is that you have to constantly cross-cut between them all. Joss Whedon, I think, is a real maverick and has a real talent and a real love for the material, and he knows how to do the slyly funny stuff. I mean, I mentioned that thing before about he said I totally support your avenging the film. There's one lovely moment with Thor and the Vision in which they've just done something really sort of massive, and then they go, yeah, that hammer's really well balanced. Yeah, well, if it's too just those little almost Eddie Izzardian asides that keep the thing ticking over and keep the characters grounded in something human. For me, I have to say, it's becoming more costumed and less characterful as time goes on. So what I felt was there's a kind of battle to some extent between Joss Whedon, the singularity of Joss Whedon, the fact that he's a personality, you can feel the personality in his films, and the Marvel behemoth, which is this great big industrial strength thing which is lunging forward, in having to variously drag things into its universe and establish them, and get the players set up in the right order for the next part of the franchise. So those two things are going on together, and it's not short. It's 141 minutes. It's 2 hours 20, and I did find some parts of that slightly exhausting. That said, I thought it was generally good fun. I could have done with more of Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo, and the relationship developing between them, because it's that stuff, actually. It is the interpersonal relationship stuff that works. It's the stuff with Bruce Banner and Tony Stark having those arguments about almost having the Jeff Goldblum discussion from Jurassic Park. You didn't think why. You didn't stop to think if you should. You just wanted if you could. And that's the stuff that I'm really interested in. I'm less interested in the fighty, runny, jumpy, explosion, special effects sequences. And I have to, I didn't think the special effects sequences, the visual effects sequences, forgive me, I didn't think the visual effects sequences were that spectacular. but I thought the whole thing rattles along at a fair old pace. I think it is slightly jumbled and slightly confusing. It does feel like there are too many things going on. But when you get to the central part of it, which is Tony Stark is going to do this thing because he can, because basically he's a preening narcissist, and therefore what he creates is the sort of antimatter version of him. I thought that idea was quite interesting. And I generally enjoyed it, although I can't say that it's the best of the pack.